Commander Teo stood alone on the observation deck of the ISS Aurora, looking down at Earth below. The planet glowed blue and green in the darkness of space, and he felt proud to call it home. But today, that pride was mixed with something else, a feeling that something was very wrong. Above the atmosphere, 7 massive alien ships hung in the sky like dark clouds before a storm. Each ship was bigger than any human vessel ever built. The largest one was so enormous that it could fit entire cities inside it. For 3 years, humanity had been waiting for this moment. 3 years of talking, negotiating, and dreaming about joining the Galactic Council. The Council was a group of 7 advanced alien civilizations that claimed to keep peace and order across the known galaxy. They had arrived at Earth with promises of friendship, technology, and protection. Leaders from every nation on Earth had celebrated. Scientists had danced in the streets. It felt like humanity's greatest dream was finally coming true. Teo had watched it all happen. As a commander in Earth's military, he had been sent to meet the Council's representatives. He had shaken their hands, looked into their eyes, and smiled at their speeches about brotherhood among the stars. He had felt honored to represent his species at such an important moment in human history. He had believed that Earth was about to enter a new age of peace and progress. But something in his mind had always told him to be careful. That was why, in secret, he had been doing something nobody else knew about. For years, Teo had been working with small teams of engineers and scientists to study the alien technology that the Council had given to humanity. Most people on Earth thought Teo and his team were just working on regular military projects. In truth, they were doing much more. They were trying to understand how the aliens' machines worked. They were trying to see if there were any hidden problems or dangers in the gifts the Council had given. Now, as he stood on the observation deck, he saw Captain Jiwon walking toward him. Jiwon was the best communications officer in Earth's military. She was smart, careful, and she noticed things that other people missed. When she looked at Teo, her face was pale, and her eyes were very serious. Teo knew immediately that something bad had happened. "We need to talk somewhere private," Jiwon said quietly. "What I found out, it changes everything." They moved to a secure room deep inside the station. No one could hear them there. Jiwon opened her computer and showed Teo documents filled with numbers and data. At first, Teo did not understand what he was looking at. But Jiwon explained it slowly and clearly. She had been listening to the radio signals that the Council sent between their ships. She had noticed strange patterns in their messages. Some of the patterns repeated over and over, like someone copying and pasting the same words many times. That seemed odd to her. So Jiwon had done something dangerous. She had broken into the Council's communication systems. She had found old messages and conversations that the Council did not want anyone to know about. What she discovered made her sick. The alien representatives had never planned to help humanity at all. Everything they had promised was a lie. The ships they gave to Earth would break down on purpose after 6 months. The medicine they provided would make people need more and more of it, like an addiction, but it would never actually cure any sickness. The energy devices would only work if Earth kept paying the Council money and resources. Every single gift had a trap hidden inside it. But there was more. The Galactic Council had made secret deals with Earth's leaders. They had convinced powerful people in governments and companies to sign contracts that gave the Council ownership of Earth's best resources. They had stolen human inventions and research. They had sent secret agents to steal information from laboratories and universities. Humans had been working for them without even knowing it. The Council had been stealing from Earth for years. "They never wanted us as partners," Jiwon said, her voice shaking with anger. "They wanted us as workers. They wanted our resources. They wanted to keep us weak and dependent on them forever. We are just another world to them, just another place to take things from." Teo felt anger rise in his chest like a fire. But he stayed calm. He had been trained to think clearly even when he felt strong emotions. He asked Ji-won how sure she was about all of this. She showed him all her proof. She had recordings of conversations. She had copies of contracts with secret clauses written in tiny letters that humans were not supposed to see. She had pictures of council meetings where they laughed about how easy it had been to trick humanity. "There is one more thing," Ji-won said. She pulled up a video. In the video, the council's leaders were talking to each other in their own language, but Ji-won had translated it. They were making bets about how long it would take before humanity realized the truth. Some of them thought it would take 5 years. Others said 10 years. One of them said that humanity might never figure it out at all. They all laughed together like it was the funniest joke they had ever heard. Tae-oh and Ji-won stood in silence. Around them, the station hummed with the sound of machines and computers. Outside, Earth turned slowly in the vacuum of space. Inside, 2 humans had just discovered that everything their world had believed for 3 years was false. "We have to tell people," Ji-won said. "We have to tell them right now." Tae-oh nodded slowly. But he was already thinking ahead. He was thinking about what would happen when the world learned the truth. He was thinking about the anger that would spread across every continent. He was thinking about governments and military leaders who would want to fight back. But Tae-oh was also thinking about something else. He was thinking about the secret project he had been running. He was thinking about the weapons that his teams had been quietly building. He was thinking about the fact that in many ways, humanity might be more ready for this than anyone realized. The news spread across Earth like a wildfire that no one could stop. Within hours of Tae-oh and Ji-won sharing the evidence, messages had been sent to leaders in every country. Scientists and government officials looked at the proof. They listened to the recordings. They read the contracts. And then they realized that everything had changed. Riots began in the largest cities. People gathered in the streets holding signs and shouting. Some people could not believe it. They thought there had to be a mistake. Others became so angry that they could barely speak. How could they have been lied to for so long? How could their leaders have trusted these alien visitors so completely? How could the whole world have been fooled? In New Seoul, thousands of people gathered in the main plaza. Families brought their children. Young people climbed on top of buildings to shout slogans. Old people held hands and cried. Someone had placed a huge picture of the council's leaders on the ground, and people were stepping on it, stamping it into pieces. The police tried to control the crowds, but even they were angry. Many of them simply walked away and joined the protesters instead. Ambassador Kong-soo sat in a high building looking out at the chaos. He was one of Earth's most important leaders, the person who had done most of the talking with the Galactic Council. He was supposed to be celebrating their entry into a peaceful universe. Instead, he was watching his world fall apart. His hands were shaking. He was thinking about all the times he had stood before the cameras and told people that the council was trustworthy. He had looked into the eyes of children and promised them a better future. He had given speeches about peace and partnership. All of it had been built on lies that he did not even know were lies. When Kang-soo received the call to go to the emergency council meeting, he almost did not answer. He did not want to face the other world leaders. He did not want to see the anger in their eyes. But he knew he had to go. He had to face what had happened, even though the weight of it felt like it could crush him. The emergency council room was chaos. Leaders from every nation were shouting at the same time. Some were angry at the Galactic Council. Others were angry at the people who had been fooled by the aliens. Still others were angry at their own governments for not checking the facts more carefully. Someone threw papers across the room. Someone else pounded their fist on the table so hard that a water glass fell and broke on the floor. When Kang-soo entered the room, everyone turned to look at him. He could feel their stares burning into his back. Without waiting for anyone to speak, he walked to the front of the room and took the microphone. His voice was steady, even though his heart was beating very fast. "I made a mistake," he said simply. "A terrible mistake. I brought all of you together in this council because I believed what I was told. I wanted so badly to believe that humans were ready to join the stars as equals. I did not look hard enough. I did not ask the right questions. For this, I am sorry." The room became quiet. Then, to everyone's surprise, a woman stood up. It was General Nari, the commander of Earth's military forces. She had a strong face and strong voice. Many people feared her because she was serious and did not smile easily. But she was also respected because she always told the truth, and she always kept her promises. "Kang Su is not the only one who made mistakes," Nari said loudly. "We all did. Every leader in this room believed what the council told us. But that does not matter now. What matters now is what we do next. We need to decide how humanity will respond to this betrayal." Everyone waited to hear what she would say next. Nari walked to the center of the room so that everyone could see her clearly. "We need to ask ourselves a question," she continued. "Are we going to respond like victims, or are we going to respond like survivors? Are we going to cry and feel sorry for ourselves? Or are we going to use this moment to show the galaxy who humans really are?" Nari paused and looked at each leader in the room. "I believe that humans are tougher than people think. I believe that we are smarter than the council gave us credit for. And I believe that we have the ability to fight back." Some people in the room nodded. Others looked worried. A leader from Europe stood up and asked what Nari meant by fighting back. Did she mean a military attack? Did she mean violence? "Not yet," said a new voice. Dr. Park Minna had entered the room quietly. She was a scientist, not a politician, but she had been at every meeting with the council. She was the one who had studied the technology they left behind. She was the one who had started to suspect something was wrong. "I have been studying the machines and devices that the council gave us," Dr. Park said. "At first I thought they were so advanced that humans could never understand them, but I was wrong. We can understand them. My team and I have been learning how they work. We have found the secret problems that were built into them. And I have something to tell you. Those problems can be fixed. Better than that, once we understand how this technology works, we can use it ourselves. We do not have to stay weak. The council just assumed we would never be smart enough to figure out their tricks." Teo was watching all of this from a monitor in another building. He was not in the council chamber because he knew that some of what he had been doing was still secret. Even now, when everything was changing, there were things that could not be talked about publicly. Things that were too dangerous. Things that were too advanced. He watched as Ambassador Kang Su stood up again and spoke of unity. He listened as General Nari talked about strength and courage. He saw Dr. Park Minna explain how humans could learn to use the alien technology for themselves. And in that moment, Teo realized something important. The council had made a huge mistake. They had assumed that humans were simple creatures who would never suspect deception. They did not understand that humans were actually very good at fighting against unfair treatment. Humans had a long history of rising up against enemies, overcoming problems, and finding new ways to survive. The council had awakened the fighter inside humanity. They had turned the entire world against them. In the coming days and weeks, Teo knew everything would change. The secret projects would become public. The hidden weapons would be revealed. Humanity would show the galaxy what it was truly capable of doing. And the Galactic Council would learn a lesson they would never forget. Deep inside a secret military facility hidden beneath the mountains of Korea, Teo stood in front of a group of soldiers and engineers. The room was filled with advanced computers and screens showing data that most people on Earth did not even know existed. For the first time, Teo was allowed to tell everyone what he had really been doing for the past 3 years. The council thought that humanity was simple and easy to control. Teo began, his voice calm and clear. They believed that we were not smart enough to understand their technology. They thought we would just accept whatever they gave us and be grateful. But they were very wrong. While we were pretending to be happy with their gifts, we were studying them. We were taking them apart piece by piece. We were learning how they worked. And most importantly, we were finding their weaknesses. On the screens behind him, images appeared. They showed alien technology, but with parts highlighted in red. These red parts were the weak points. These were the places where the council had hidden their traps and tricks. But they were also places where humans could attack. The engineers in the room started whispering to each other. They understood immediately what Teo was saying. Humans could fight back. We have been working on 3 different ways to hurt the council, Teo explained. The first is digital. The second is economic. The third is political. All 3 are equally important. If we only use one, the council might be able to defend against it. But if we use all 3 at the same time, they will not know which way to turn. Captain Jiwon stepped forward. She had been silent for the past few days, working on something secret in the military computers. Now she was ready to show everyone what she had created. On the main screen, lines of computer code appeared. It was written in a language that the alien machines could understand. Jiwon had spent the last week creating the most powerful computer virus that humans had ever made. But it was not designed to destroy. It was designed to reveal. This virus, Jiwon said, pointing at the screen, will enter every council communication network. It will find every secret message, every hidden conversation, every lie that the council has told. And then it will broadcast all of it, not just to other humans, but to every civilization in the galaxy. The council has been lying to their own people for centuries. They have stolen from other worlds. They have destroyed civilizations. They have done terrible things and kept it all secret. This virus will show everyone the truth. The room was completely silent as people understood what this meant. If the virus worked, the council would be exposed. Every species in the galaxy would know what had been happening. The council's power would be shattered not by weapons, but by truth. But Teo was not finished. He nodded to Dr. Park Minna, who had entered the room quietly. Dr. Park was carrying a tablet computer showing economic data and supply chain information. She had spent the last few days studying how the galaxy's economy worked, and she had discovered something very important. Earth is much more valuable to the galaxy than the council wanted to admit, Dr. Park said. We have been so focused on what we were receiving from them that we did not realize what we were giving. Humanity is very good at solving complex problems. We are very good at thinking in new ways. Many civilizations across the galaxy depend on Earth's computer systems. They use our algorithms. They use our software. They depend on the technology that humans have invented. If Earth suddenly stopped sharing this technology, if we cut off our services to the entire galaxy, the economy would collapse. She showed charts and pictures. They showed hundreds of planets and space stations that would be affected. Supply chains would break. Communication systems would fail. Medical treatments would stop working. The entire galactic economy depended, in many small ways, on what humans had created. We are not weak, Dr. Park continued. We are not helpless. We are not even less advanced than the Council. We are just different, and that difference is our strength. The Council did not understand this, but we do. General Nari was the last to speak. She explained the political strategy. For hundreds of years, the Galactic Council had kept peace by being strong and unified. They had convinced all the other civilizations that they needed the Council's protection. They had made deals with powerful species to keep them happy. They had given gifts and promises to gain loyalty. But underneath all of this, many worlds were unhappy. Many species had been treated unfairly. Many civilizations had been forced to give up their own dreams to serve the Council's purposes. Ambassador Kang-Su has already started making secret contact with these worlds, Nari explained. He is offering them something the Council never could. He is offering them equality. He is offering them the chance to build something new, a coalition based on trust instead of control. Many worlds are interested. Many species are tired of being ruled by the Council. When the time comes, they will help us. They will help us break the Council's power. So the plan was clear now. First, the computer virus would expose the Council's secrets to everyone in the galaxy. At the same time, Earth would cut off its economic support. The Council's economy would start to fall apart. Then Ambassador Kang-Su would reveal the new coalition. He would show all the worlds that had been suffering under the Council's rule that there was a better way. Civilization after civilization would leave the Council and join humanity's new organization. The Council would not be destroyed by weapons. They would be destroyed by their own lies, by their own broken promises, and by the knowledge that a better future was possible. They would be destroyed by the very thing they had forgotten about humans, the power of intelligence, creativity, and hope. Over the next few days, millions of people became involved in the plan. Scientists worked in laboratories. Engineers built new systems. Soldiers trained for every possible situation. Programmers wrote code. Diplomats wrote speeches. Teachers talked to young people about what was happening and why it mattered. The entire world became focused on one goal. Humanity was preparing to answer betrayal with action. Teo watched it all happen from his command center. He saw how quickly humans could unite when they believed in something important. He saw how creative people could become when they were fighting for their future. He saw what happened when a whole species decided that they would not accept being treated as less than equals. The Galactic Council had no idea what was coming. In just a few days, their entire world would change forever, and they would learn what it meant to underestimate humanity. At exactly midnight, when the moment was perfectly calculated, the three weapons were launched simultaneously. It was like a perfect storm, with no chance of escape. The computer virus spread across space in digital waves, moving from one network to another at the speed of light. It entered Council communication systems. It broke through their security walls. It found every secret file, every hidden conversation, every shameful document. And then it began to broadcast. On screens across the galaxy, messages started to appear. Images, videos, audio recordings, all showing the truth about the Galactic Council. In the capital city of the Vextari, a proud alien species that had believed the Council's lies for 200 years, the people watched in horror as they saw recordings of Council leaders laughing about how they had stolen the Vextari's natural resources. On the planet Kelor, citizens saw evidence that the Council had deliberately caused a famine so that the Kelor people would become desperate and easier to control. On station after station, world after world, the same story repeated. The Council had lied. The Council had stolen. The Council had hurt innocent beings for profit and power. The virus was so powerful and so widespread that the Council could not stop it. They tried to shut down their own networks, but it was too late. The damage was done. Every secret that they had kept hidden for centuries was now public knowledge. The citizens of the civilizations that made up the Council were shocked and angry. Some of them refused to believe what they were seeing, but most of them knew deep down that it was true. At the same moment that the virus launched, Dr. Park Minna gave the signal for the economic weapon. Earth simply stopped. Suddenly, all the software that humanity had been providing to other worlds stopped working. All the computational services went dark. The energy systems that depended on human algorithms began to fail. Hospitals that relied on human medical technology became unable to treat patients. Transportation systems that used human-designed navigation stopped running properly. The effect was immediate and shocking. Within hours, thousands of worlds began to experience problems. Banks could not process transactions. Factories could not operate. Schools could not function. It became clear to everyone just how much they had depended on Earth. The Council tried to restore the systems themselves, but they could not. The Council did not understand human technology well enough. They had only known how to use it, not how to create it. Messages started flooding into the Council's main office from desperate civilizations, begging for the systems to be restored. But Earth did not answer. Earth was silent. The message was clear. If the Council wanted things to go back to normal, they would have to accept the new conditions. And then came the third weapon. Ambassador Kang Su made a broadcast that was sent to every inhabited world in the galaxy. He stood in front of cameras with evidence in his hands. He showed the Council's crimes. He showed the communities that had been destroyed. He showed the species that had been enslaved. He spoke about suffering and injustice that had gone on for too long. But Kang Su did not only speak about problems, he also spoke about solutions. He spoke about creating a new coalition of worlds based on equality and honesty. He spoke about sharing technology freely instead of using it as a tool of control. He spoke about listening to every voice, no matter how small, and making decisions together. And he offered membership in this new coalition to any world that wanted to join. Worlds began to respond. Some immediately said yes. Others asked questions first. But the message was clear to everyone. There was an alternative to the Council's rule. There was a better way. The Council tried to respond. They called emergency meetings. They tried to explain that they had been misunderstood. They tried to promise reforms and changes. But it was too late. Their leaders had been exposed as liars. Their system had been revealed as built on corruption. Civilization after civilization announced that they were leaving the Council. Some Council members tried to fight back militarily. They sent their most powerful ships to Earth's space. They threatened that if humanity did not restore the systems and destroy the virus, there would be war. General Nari was ready for this. She had spent weeks preparing Earth's defenses, but she did something that surprised everyone. She did not attack the Council's ships. Instead, she broadcast a simple message to the universe. "Earth is not your enemy," Nari said. "We are offering you the hand of peace, but we will also defend ourselves. The days of the Galactic Council are over. Join us in building something better, or step aside and let us pass." The Council's military commanders knew they had a problem. If they attacked Earth and other worlds joined the fight, they would be crushed. If they did not attack, they would be admitting that they had lost. In the end, most of them made the same choice. They stood down. Some of them even announced that they were joining the new coalition. The leadership of the Galactic Council tried to run. Several of the Council members attempted to escape on fast ships, but they did not get far. In each case, their own security forces, now loyal to their home worlds instead of the Council, arrested them. Within days, the Council's leaders were being held prisoner, awaiting trial for their crimes. The Galactic Council, which had ruled for more than 300 years, which had seemed so powerful and permanent, collapsed in just a few days. Not from weapons or violence, not from military force or conquest. It collapsed because its lies were exposed, because its economy was cut off, and because the beings it had ruled over realized that they had another choice. Kang Su worked carefully in the days after the Council's fall. He made deals with each civilization. He promised that every world would have a voice in the new coalition. He promised that no single species would have power over another. He promised transparency and honesty. He promised that the days of secret deals and hidden agendas were over. Most importantly, he showed all these worlds that Earth wanted nothing for itself. Humanity did not seek to control the others like the Council had done. Humanity wanted partnership. This was something that the Council had never understood. Power does not come from taking. Power comes from earning trust and building something together. Earth had learned this lesson through terrible experience, and now Earth was teaching it to the entire galaxy. Within 2 weeks, the new unified coalition of sentient worlds was officially created. 38 civilizations joined. More were waiting to see if the new organization would work. And at the center of it all, representing Earth and speaking for humanity, was Ambassador Kang Su. The council that had tried to trick Earth, that had underestimated humanity, that had believed the galaxy could only be controlled through deception and force, was gone. The age of the Galactic Council was finished. The age of something new was beginning. For 2 weeks, peace held across the galaxy. The new coalition grew stronger every day. Scientists from different worlds started working together on research projects. Trade began between civilizations that had never spoken to each other before. Slowly, carefully, a new order was taking shape. But not everyone was happy about these changes. Some of the powerful beings who had worked with the Council for many years did not want to give up their special status. Some military leaders who had built their power through the Council's system feared what would happen to them in this new coalition. A small group of them, mostly from 3 different species, started meeting in secret. They made a dangerous decision. They would launch one final attack against Earth. If they could destroy Earth, they believed, the new coalition would fall apart. The other worlds would lose their faith in the new system, and perhaps they could rebuild the old way of doing things. They secretly gathered a military fleet. It was not as large as the Council's army had been, but it was still very powerful. They had ships that were built for combat, weapons that could destroy planets, and soldiers who were trained and ready to fight. They hid this fleet in a remote part of space where no one would see them. And then they waited for the right moment to attack. But they made a mistake. They did not know that Teo had been watching them the entire time. For years, Teo had been studying the Council's military tactics. He had recorded thousands of hours of their battle strategies. He had learned how their commanders thought. He had studied their weaknesses. When this secret group started planning their attack, Teo noticed small signs. He noticed unusual communications. He noticed ships moving in patterns that seemed suspicious. He told General Nari what he had found. Nari listened carefully to Teo's report. Then she did something that surprised everyone. She did not panic. She did not order an immediate defense. Instead, she smiled slightly and nodded. "Good," she said. "Let them come. We are ready." Nari had been preparing for this possibility from the beginning. She had known that the Council's fall would not happen completely peacefully. She had known that some people would try to strike back. So she had positioned Earth's defensive systems carefully. Every satellite, every space station, every defensive weapon was exactly where it needed to be. When the attack came, Earth would not be surprised. Earth would be prepared. The attack came on a Tuesday morning, Earth time. The hidden fleet emerged from their hiding place and began moving toward Earth at tremendous speed. They had calculated that it would take them only 20 hours to reach the planet. They planned to come in hard and fast, destroy the main human cities before anyone could defend them, and then offer a choice to the rest of the galaxy: support them, or be destroyed. But something went very wrong for them. The moment their ships entered the detection range of Earth's defensive systems, Teo triggered the first layer of defense. Advanced satellites, built using a combination of human and alien technology, suddenly became active. They began firing at the attacking fleet. The enemy commanders had not even known these satellites existed. The attacking ships tried to defend themselves. They fired weapons back at the satellites. Some of the satellites were destroyed, but many more were hidden and ready to take their place. The enemy ships had prepared themselves to fight an old-style military battle. They had not prepared for this new kind of warfare that Teo and his team had invented. As the enemy fleet fought the satellites, they began to move into the second layer of defense. This was a field of advanced drones, small ships that were too quick for the enemy weapons to hit. Each drone carried weapons that were designed specifically to counter the enemy's technology. The drones attacked in perfect coordination, moving together like a flock of birds that seemed to have one mind instead of many. The enemy ships tried to escape the drone attack, but they could not. No matter which direction they flew, more drones appeared. No matter what weapons they used, the drones seemed to know exactly where the weapons were coming from and what they would do. It was because Teo had spent weeks studying the exact specifications of these enemy ships. He knew how fast they could go. He knew how much power their engines had. He knew where their weak points were. He had designed Earth's defense with perfect knowledge of what he was defending against. Slowly, carefully, methodically, Earth's defenses destroyed the attacking fleet. Not a single enemy ship made it close to the atmosphere. Not a single weapon reached a human city. The entire attack was repelled without a single human being harmed. When it was over, there was silence. Then, across the galaxy, people began to understand what had just happened. The hardline faction that had tried to destroy Earth and rebuild the Council had completely failed. They had launched their best weapons, their fastest ships, their most experienced commanders, and they had been destroyed by a world that they thought was weak and helpless. General Nari sent a message to all the worlds in the coalition. She spoke about what had happened. She explained that she did not want violence. She explained that Earth wanted peace. But she also made something very clear. "If you attack us," Nari said, "we will defend ourselves. And we will win. Not because we are better or stronger, but because we are prepared. We will always be prepared. And we will always protect our people and our way of life." The message had an effect that Nari had hoped for. The remaining hardline faction members, seeing that their attack had failed completely, stopped their resistance. Some of them turned themselves in for trial. Others hid and tried to escape. But they no longer had any power. The galaxy knew that they had lost. More importantly, the successful defense of Earth taught an important lesson to every civilization in the coalition. Earth did not need to attack others to be strong. Earth did not need to threaten or use force to gain respect, but Earth would not be bullied either. Earth had found a balance between strength and peace. It was exactly the kind of balance that the galaxy needed. Ambassador Kang Su used this moment to strengthen the coalition even further. He traveled to dozens of worlds. He gave speeches about peace and unity. He showed the people of other civilizations that they had made the right choice in joining the coalition. He demonstrated that this new organization was stronger and more stable than the Council had ever been. More and more worlds asked to join. Teo stood on the observation deck of the ISS Aurora, the same place where he had stood with Jiwon when they discovered the Council's lies. Below him, Earth still turned slowly in space, but the view seemed different now. It was no longer the view of a helpless world being manipulated by powerful aliens. It was the view of a world that had claimed its place among the stars, a world that had shown the galaxy what humans could do when they worked together. He thought about the old saying he had heard once in a history class. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. Humanity had not done nothing. Humanity had discovered the lies. Humanity had refused to accept betrayal. Humanity had stood up and said no. And because of that, everything had changed. Not just for humanity, but for all the civilizations in the galaxy. A new age had begun, and it had begun because humans chose to fight, to think, to create, and to never give up, no matter how impossible things seemed.